What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from MTG headquarters, and we're going to talk a little bit about Iconic Masters. Now, I know there's a lot of hype around the upcoming pre-release. Some of my international friends have already started messaging me that their pre-release is about to begin. My pre-release starts in about 10 hours at this point. I've barely looked at the cards. I think this will be one of the most unprepared pre-releases I've ever attended, but I couldn't help but address some of the stuff going on with Iconic Masters. And I mean, you know that I'm thirsty for those clicks, and everyone else is talking about Iconic Masters, so I have to weigh in to get all that sweet click cash. Now, what is Iconic Masters? This set leaked out the other day, and I think Wizards was then forced to spoil it, unless it was all intentional. But it is yet another Masters set coming out November 17th, 2017, just in time for Christmas. Now, we can see, I think Wizards really, other than the holiday gift boxes, Wizards has really not pushed super hard on the holiday time push, like release. Well, I don't know. They've had this custom Christmas card. They've had the holiday gift boxes. Now we start to see sets coming out that are pretty much right around that holiday buying season. So Eternal Masters second wave last year. This year, now we see Iconic Masters, which will be the second Masters set this year. The set size is relatively decent at 249 cards, and it will be printed actually in both English, Chinese Simplified, and Japanese. It features the great MSRP of $9.99 a pack, and that's about all we know about it. So the internet went wild with speculation when this was first leaked and then ultimately confirmed by Wizards. And there's some interesting information about Iconic Masters that really led to a lot of interesting speculation. So it says Iconic Masters offers players a tour through some of the most powerful cards in over 23 years of Magic history. Featuring new artwork on many cards, the set brings an array of massive angels, sphinxes, demons, dragons, and hydras alongside some of our favorite, most memorable spells. Every box of Iconic Masters contains 24 booster packs, 15 randomly inserted game cards, and 1 premium card in every pack. Some people stuck on that they didn't say premium foil, but get your friends together and embark on one of the most iconic and power-packed draft experiences yet. Now, on MTGO, we got Vintage Masters, which of course included many powerful cards, including the Moxen. When Iconic Masters came out, speculation went wild on whether or not they would print cards on the reserved list. Because let's face it, if you print a set called Iconic Masters, you can't really not include cards like Black Lotus or Mox Ruby or many of the other cards on the reserve list, because many of them are what I would call iconic. Now, there are iconic cards that are not on the reserve list. Things like Lightning Bolt, for example. If you ask even the most casual of Magic player to name 5 cards, they're going to say things like Lightning Bolt. If they're an old-time player like myself, they're going to say Shivan Dragon, Sarah Angel. They're going to say Soul Ring. Things like that. These are all iconic cards that Wizards could reprint, and reprint them in very fancy premium ways. Then, earlier today on 4/21, Wizards quickly addressed whether or not they would be dipping into the reserve list. Now, I will commend them on not letting everyone speculate for months and months about whether or not Wizards was going to print cards out of the reserve list. And they said, in response to Saffron Olive, of course, we will not reprint any reserve list cards. There are plenty of iconic cards outside of them. Now, this is classically summed up as, did I think they were going to reprint reserve list cards? No. Am I still disappointed? Yeah, I am. I don't know if I'm intelligent enough to really see the overall impact of abolishing the reserve list. I think collectors are important to the game. They maintain the value of the cards. They maintain the excitement of ripping a $20 Mythic. If every card was worth a penny, it would be hard to keep people in the game. I think that much is fair to say. I think the value of Magic cards is important to me. Do I think reprinting a Black Lotus in some new way would make this total value of an alpha Black Lotus go to zero? Absolutely not. In fact, I think it actually has a chance to increase the value. How the hell would that happen, might you say, if they were to just print a bunch of reserve list cards? Well, more people would enter the format, right? And the more people in the format creates more demand for the cards. And the same number of people, I believe, right now would want an alpha Power 9, whether or not they reprinted them. So the value of them, if they would go down, it would be marginally. I don't think people don't have alpha Black Lotuses simply because of its playability. They have them because of the price, right? So if they printed some new set that brought new people into the game, the value of the new card is not going to be thousands of dollars. It will be a couple hundred. The market would determine it, right? It will get more people into Vintage and would probably increase the Vintage and Legacy and probably increase the value of some of these reserve list cards, the originals, right? People would get into the format and then it would become coveted. You would start originaling out your deck, going to get the original prints. This market doesn't exist right now because the barriers to these formats are just so high that nobody even tries, right? So I think a lot of the value of reserve list cards are not driven by a huge amount of people that want them and can't get them. It's driven by collectors possessing the most amount of copies of them. Anyway, if you follow that, TLDR, reprinting reserve list cards, I think, I'm sure would not tank the original values of these cards. Some of them, yes. Mishra's Bauble, sure, or whatever, stuff like that, fine. They shouldn't be that expensive anyway. But anyway, Wizards came out today, and then it was a hilarious shill army battle back and forth between Jeff Hoagland and Eric Froelich, and unfortunately, I have to agree, painfully I have to agree with Hoagland, side with Hoagland on this side. Everyone seems to say, like, wah, what if they reprint it? It's going to destroy trust with players. Would it, though? How many players were around when the reserve list was established and still actively buy booster packs? My guess is less than 1% of the total player pool. That's neither here nor there. The reserve list, I'm not edified enough to really discuss the reserve list more than just casually and share my opinion and accept the fact that I don't necessarily understand all the financial implications of... Well, I know the financial implications, but I don't know what it does to the game long term. I can speculate, but it wouldn't be coming from a position of fact-based case studies or something like that. What I'm more worried about is, first of all, Iconic Masters not having the most iconic cards. That's a huge naming fail. They should have just called it something else. I think nobody would have expected the reserve list to be in there if it wasn't called Iconic Masters. If it was called, like, you know, Poop Masters, no. You get what I mean. I can't think of a name right now. Rip marketing mind today. It was a long day yesterday. But forget it. I can get over that. What we have here, though, is the second set in a year that contains $10 booster packs. And Lord knows what Magic players... There's nothing Magic players want more than more $10 booster packs to buy. I mean, most Magic players live paycheck to paycheck. Many Magic players make less per hour than a single booster pack is going to cost them. Could you imagine that? working your 4-hour shift just to do a draft, half of your shift, or your full shift, 8-hour shift after taxes would maybe pay for a single Modern Masters draft. That is pathetic. And I think it's curious now, as a marketer and someone who runs his own business and manages other people's businesses, I get it, right? The 80-20 rule applies here like it applies everywhere else. 80% of Magic's revenue comes from 20% of its player base, right? Now, these Masters sets target that 20%. It targets people like me who can buy cases of it, who are fortunate enough to be able to buy cases of it. And they're just milking the cash cow. And I think even as someone, if I didn't have this YouTube channel, I probably wouldn't have any interest at all in this set because, again, Modern Master, I can only buy so many $10 booster packs, and there's definitely an end game here. There's a point of diminishing returns of Wizards Masters baiting us high investors of the game. Now, the other 80% does benefit at times from these sets because the singles then trickle down to the open market. Yes, that is true. But the rate at which they benefit is far too slow. If these sets were printed in much higher quantities and the booster packs were $5 instead of $10, I don't even care if they charge $1 or $2 more than the $4 MSRP. If they were $5 or $6, now you're talking about benefiting the 80%. Right now, it's just a high-value lottery ticket to most players, I believe. I don't think there's a huge cult following of people that love drafting Modern Masters. There are people out there that do, but the majority of people love the idea of opening a Tarmogoyf. There's only so many cards that you can keep cramming in these sets to justify $10 booster pack price. And you can say, well, it's not for you, right? I'm in the 20%. It may sound dickish to say, but the fact remains I am. I can buy, within reason, as much Magic product as I want. But as somebody who runs this YouTube channel, I feel bad for the other 80% of the people that can only ever dream of opening these booster packs. And a second master set in the same year makes me really concerned about the health of Magic the Gathering. How much of this can you push out on the open market and still be absorbed? I think 1 to 2 years of this Masters baiting model is about all it can support, especially if you're going to stick to not reprinting reserve list cards. And I'm not pro-reserve list or anti-reserve list strongly. I think I could educate myself more and probably align myself to a side, but I'm definitely open to hearing from both sides. What I know is thousands of people would love to play Legacy or Vintage, and they can't. And that's kind of where my interest stops. But I do get that without the reserve list, a lot happens that I don't totally understand. And the implications I don't totally understand. The least of which is some specious or some hypothetical lawsuit that Wizards might have to suffer. I don't believe that's why they maintain the reserve list at this point. Trust is important. So I'm concerned, like, don't get me wrong, if you made it this far and you haven't just assumed I'm just bitching about it, I am happy to get these supplemental sets. I like them. I can afford to buy them within reason. But I think there's more to the picture here. What is that? Is the health? I mean, I think Wizards makes more money if they can grow Standard. Have they given up on growing Standard? Have they emergency printed these draft sets to keep their revenue high? Are they worried that the Amonkhet block is going to flop? I don't know. But 2 master sets a year is way too many. Way too many. I mean, I like From the Vault. What happened to that? Like, what happened to making good From the Vaults? Are they just going to get rid of that now? Probably. I mean, what happened to good tournament decks? $10 booster packs, I don't like it. And I'm excited for more reprints. I'm excited for another reason to produce more content for all of you. But what I really want to know is what you think in the comment section down below. What is your opinion? What do you speculate is going to be in the set? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have fun at your pre-release this weekend if you're going. I'll be here for you on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube if you want to chat. We'll talk to you again real soon.